everyone. It's a pleasure to introduce you all to Ms. Ruheena Hasan, a dynamic leader with over 25 years of professional experience in both the financial and investment migration sectors. With an extensive background in computer science and a proven track record, Ruheena has played a pivotal role in shaping the investment migration landscape through her leadership at ConnectX. She's also the founder of ConnectX. We are excited to have her today to share her deep insights and expertise in residency and citizenship by investment programs. Welcome you, Ruheena, and over to you now.
Thank you so much, Rabia. That was very kind of you. Hello, everyone, and welcome to today's webinar on residency and citizenship by investment programs. My name is Ruheena Hasan, and I'm honored to be your host today. As co-founder of ConnectX, an RCBI company based in Pakistan with international partnerships, I am excited to share our expertise with you. So basically, today's webinar is aimed at providing a comprehensive overview of the RCBI industry. RCBI is technically residency and citizenship by investment. There are a lot of common misconceptions. We're going to debunk them, and we're also going to highlight the benefits of these programs. The main idea behind this webinar is to explore how RCBI can enhance global mobility, secure family legacy, diversify your assets, and unlock business opportunities, and help you move to another country or not move to another country if you do not want to. So whether you're considering alternative residency or citizenship for personal or professional reasons, this webinar will equip you with your valuable insights. So today's agenda is basically an in-depth presentation, which is going to be not extremely formal. We'll keep it very basic so that any of you who is not currently familiar with whatever RCBI is gets an inkling of what the whole shebang is. And afterwards, we will have a dedicated Q&A session if anybody is interested. I encourage you to ask questions, and I will provide personalized guidance as well. Thank you so much. Before we begin, I'm really thankful for all of you to join in. Your interest in RCBI is the first step towards expanding your global horizons. Let's get started. So, we're going to be navigating the RCBI industry. It is basically residence and citizenship by investment. That's what the acronym is for. Mostly, these programs are based in either the Caribbean or European regions. Europe, all of you are quite familiar with, I'm sure. Caribbean, maybe not so much, because it is not something that we talk about during our usual holiday plans, or maybe when we're thinking of relocating or getting another passport or getting another residency. So let's first see what RCBI is. Residency by investment. So there are two sections of RCBI. It's RBI and CBI. So RBI essentially is a residency by investment program. It grants you residence permits. It may or may not lead to citizenship. That really does depend on the program that you are applying in. Citizenship by investment means that you invest into a certain country and it grants you citizenship / passports. So with residency by investment, you're investing and getting a resident permit, which means that you will be working there. You can gain health benefits, you can get educational benefits, but you do not have a passport. It can eventually lead to a passport, but like I said, that is a personal journey. Citizenship, on the other hand, is your direct citizenship and your direct passports. There's a little bit of information down here. If you're looking at it, the industry is valued at 22 billion, and it is growing exponentially. And so many countries have started their RCBI programs, hoping to inject investments into their specific economies for development purposes and all of that. So people in third world countries mostly, or displaced individuals, are people who basically are usually interested in RCBI programs. Moving onward, there's again a common misconception about what residency and citizenship is. So let's do a little bit of detail of that. A residency is completely different from a citizenship. When we say residency, it is your status of living in a country. for any specific period. You have got your legal presence there, you have to pay your taxes, you can have access to some local services, and like I said twice before, that it is a potential pathway to citizenship. So while you don't have the citizenship at that point, you will eventually. So for a lot of us Pakistanis, Canada is a huge point of interest when it comes to residency. So think of it that way, that when you get, for instance, if you go through skilled immigration, and you live there for a certain period of time, and then you're eligible for a passport. That's what residency basically is. Citizenship, on the other hand, is completely different. We are citizens of Pakistan, so we've got the Pakistani passport. That's, if you have a passport of a country, that's citizenship. So you get full legal rights over there. That means you can vote, you have the nationality, you've got the law protects you, and of course you can live there permanently and work there permanently as well. Citizenship can be gained through a lot of different ways. Birth, of course. My child, if he's born in Pakistan, he will be Pakistani. Naturalization means that you live in a certain country for a certain period of time, and you naturalize yourself in there. So say, let's say Canada says, all right, you have to live here for 3 years to be able to naturalize, then you're a Pakistani. So you do that, and that's your naturalization. I'll come to the third point later. Descent, of course, again, your descendants are all the citizens of the same country that you are. And of course, if you marry somebody who is of a certain country, and then you can apply for citizenship. The third point, investment, well, citizenship and investment programs. This is something that we're actually looking into. You invest in a certain country, and you tell them that, all right, this is my stake in your country. What can you give to me? And the country says, all right, here's your passport. That's how we work. So technically, you're buying a passport for a better future and access to business opportunities, and to make sure that your children are being taken care of, like they're not really being taken care of in your own country. So there are many countries that offer residency by investment. The few major ones that have solid programs, residency programs, are these 8. So there's Portugal, the first 4 on the top: Portugal, Latvia, Greece, Hungary, and then one in the bottom one is Malta. All these are European programs. They're all residency programs, which means that you get a resident permit, but you don't necessarily get a passport unless you ensure that there is naturalization. UK, we're all quite familiar with it. You have to go live there for a certain period of time before you can get your passport. USA is the same, and Canada, of course, is the same. So in all these countries, Portugal is the only country that, well, I wouldn't say guarantees a passport, but it is an easier path to a passport because it has very minimum residency requirements. So when I say residency requirements, I mean, all right, I am a Pakistani. I do not want to live outside Pakistan, but I do want a residency, which is anything other than Pakistani. So I choose a program that has the lowest residency requirements, which means, all right, I don't have to live there for 6 years. Maybe I can go there for 10 days a year, and I will get it in 5 years. That's how this whole thing works. So UK, US, Canada, they have very stringent residency requirements. Greece as well. Hungary, Latvia, not so much. Malta is somewhere in the middle. So when we talk about all of this in detail, maybe in another session, I will provide you with more information on how this whole thing is done. Okay, so there are many countries that provide citizenship by investment, which means there's no residency involved. You get a direct passport within usually a year, sometimes even less. So the first 5 flags that you see are all Caribbean countries. So the Caribbean region, I'm sure most of you are familiar with, are these small islands, not amazingly developed, but because of their diplomatic relationships with the US, their passports are quite strong. So essentially, we're looking for options where we get a passport, which helps us travel to different countries, does not restrict us. However, getting this passport means that you are looking into a travel document more than anything else. It's essentially a passport that lets you travel the world, do your business. A lot of us here in Pakistan, for instance, work with China and Russia and all of those places where we import things or export things. So these passports are very good for those people because getting a Chinese visit visa is quite a thing. So uh, these are the 5 options that we usually put forward when somebody says, all right, I want to have some kind of global mobility. Turkey and Vanuatu, well, Turkey is one of our favorite countries from a Pakistani point of view. Mostly from Pakistan, people would think, all right, we want to move, but we want to move to a Muslim country. So Turkey makes most sense to them. And Vanuatu, because it is not a very expensive passport. Um, for the last two, Turkey and Vanuatu, they are not the greatest passports in the world. But at this point in time, if somebody is displaced or has a passport that is not on at the great ranking, at the same ranking as Turkey and Vanuatu, it makes sense to get a passport of these two countries. Vanuatu, I'm not sure if many people are familiar with this country. It's in Oceania. It's way out there, and a lot of people probably just get Vanuatu because they wanted to travel, not because they actually want to go and live there. Vanuatu initially had UK and Schengen access on it. It doesn't anymore, so it is not a popular passport, but it is one of the passports that is being globally recognized as a good option if nothing else works. Okay, so one of the major questions that I get from a lot of people is, should I be investing in residency or citizenship programs? How does this work? These are completely different programs. If you want a residency, you have to have a certain mindset or a certain goal. Same goes for citizenship. So how do we bifurcate these? How do we decide? I've got a few pointers here. So if you want a residency, you're usually looking to move to another country and you want your children to have good education, great benefits, health benefits. You might want to set up a business in another country because a lot of residency by investment programs provide you with an option to invest in a country, in a business, and they give you residency in exchange of that. Uh, you want ROI. ROI is your return on investments. You want to put away your money somewhere else and maybe, again, bifurcate your investments. Make sure that everything is not in one place. So you buy maybe shares or funds or real estate, and you enjoy the ROI that you get from these investments. So, like I said in one of my previous, referring to a previous slide, all residencies do not end up into citizenships, but there are a few that do. So if you intend to take advantage of, getting a passport, you can do it through the minimum residency stay requirements. Eventual global mobility, again, once you have the passport, you have global mobility. In Europe, if you have a European residency, all 29 Schengen states are open to you. So you can travel visa-free in all those states. There are no borders, as you know, in Europe. So there's no passport control. So yes, so that is one of the reasons. A lot of people invest in residencies because they feel that, all right, we do not want to move from our own country. And but we want to be able to move if we feel at any point in time that, all right, things are getting bad here, or I want a better life, or I want a better opportunity, and I will move. So it's like a plan B. All right, if I can't do this, I'll do that. So that's what residencies usually, that's how residencies are usually popular. However, a lot of people do want to move to another country, and they can just naturalize themselves over there, and then they can get into the onto the passport route. So citizenship is like I said, it's usually for people who are looking to move. Again, there are very few options for people to move to other countries if you want to buy a citizenship. Like I said, if it's the 5 Caribbean countries, it's going to be a bit difficult trying to figure out, all right, what do I do over there? What kind of business do I do? Because they're not the greatest economies in the world. So that is sort of a catch-22 thing. Okay, I get the citizenship. What do I do? So we suggest that if you need a travel document and you want global mobility, makes sense to get a passport, a citizenship. So grab one of the Caribbean passports, travel freely. You don't have to have a passport, a visa on any of this. Most of these countries provide you easy access, in fact, visa-free access to Schengen zone, to the UK. In fact, if you look into the Malta passport, which we haven't mentioned in our passports, because it is a tricky program, so I'd rather not do it. But if somebody wants to do it, then Malta also provides you visa-free access to Canada, if you'd like. Most of these passports do not require your physical presence in the country of issuance. For instance, if you're getting a Dominican passport, then you don't need to go to the country and live there or even do your biometrics. Everything is done online. So that makes it very, very easy. Renewals, yes, renewals can be done from your nearest embassy. Not an issue. Again, the last point is your goal is to diversify assets and ensure wealth protection. So a lot of people want, do not put all your eggs in one basket, that kind of thing. So what you do is you take out your money from your own country and you put it out there in different investments. And well, your investment is there, it's secure, you'll get it back in 5 years and you're sorted. As far as Turkey is concerned, Turkey provides great ROI on investments, especially real estate. So for real estate, you put in 400,000 US dollars and you get a pretty good ROI on that. And then in 3 years, you can take it back and still maintain your citizenship. So that's how this whole thing works. I've put in some basic eligibility factors here. These are not all inclusive. You have to be a high net worth individual, which means you have to have a good set of assets and very little liabilities. A clean criminal record in any country that you've lived in for more than 5 years. Your health status has to be great, and your money has to be clean, which means that you can provide your proof of funds without having to hide anything. So that is one thing that is very, very important. The process itself is very, very simple. You choose a program. We provide you with information on how to choose a program depending on how you want to set your priorities and how you want to move forward with your life and your business goals. So once you choose a program, there's an eligibility check. Eligibility check means whether you are eligible for that specific program. Now, this eligibility check does not usually include your age. In fact, age is never a factor in RCBI programs. Unlike Canadian skill programs or Australian skill programs or any skill programs, where age is a huge factor, and the older that you are, the lesser your chances are. Here, it does not matter if you're 90 years old or if you're 19. You have to be above 18, that's it. So that is your eligibility check. The eligibility check also includes an initial due diligence check, which means that we do a little bit of a background check on you to figure out whether you do have a clean record or not. So you can provide us with all the information saying that you do, we will still check it. Then we have a document preparation phase in which we give you a list of documents that you have to provide to us. They have to be apostilled or authenticated, depending on which country that we're doing it for. And we prepare that for you. We prepare a file, a case. Then you do your investment. And That investment goes directly from your own bank account to the account of the person, sorry, the entity where you're investing. For instance, if it is a developer that is offering you, a house or a villa or something in Turkey, it goes from your account directly to the developer's account. So your money trail has to be really, really clear and very, we have to be very honest. Once the investment is done, there's the processing phase. The processing means that it's all gone into the government, it's all gone to the government's hands. So we do all that for you. Then I'm sorry, the processing is actually the part that we do for you. Application submission is when um, uh, everything has gone into the government, entity that has to decide whether they can give you a citizenship or not. Comes approval, then there's a post-approval process. Most post-approval processes include biometrics. In some countries, you have to go and do your biometrics directly in that country, well, physically, so to speak. In some countries, you can do it online in the sense that we take biometrics on a piece of paper and we send them to, and then we send them onward. Afterwards, once that is done, then you get your residency or your citizenship. So there are two different types of documents that you're getting. You're either getting a residency card, which is generally like our CNIC over here, or you get a passport, which is your citizenship. So basically, that is all there is to this thing. The timeline for the process depends on which country we're talking about. For instance, if it's Portugal, it takes about a year, a little more than a year at times. If it's Dominica, it takes about 8 to 10 months. If it's Vanuatu, it takes 4-5 months. Greece is the shortest period, process period. It takes about 4 months. Everything is done in 4 months. You even get your residency cards. So this is the entire process of how we navigate the RCBI application. All right, I think I have done enough talking. I did receive a question. Somebody was asking about Latvia, the cost of Latvia. Latvia is an RCBI program, and it essentially provides you with a residency, which means that you can either apply through a company shares process or you can apply through a real estate process. It really depends. So if it's a company shares, the minimum is 50,000 euros. There's a government contribution of 10,000 euros. And if it is, and then there are costs on top of that, which means that you have to pull in a legal firm, then you've got your consultancies, then you've got your company maintenance and all of that. So that really depends on the size of the actual size of your family. As far as the real estate is concerned, real estate in Latvia costs 250,000 euros. You have to have property in a government-approved project, which means that you have to invest 250 in a project, and against that you get a residency. So again, there are costs on top. It depends on your family size. Someone asked if what is the I'm sorry, I think it was Anika. I think she asked how much is the investment cost. All right, so if anyone is looking for the investment cost of all of these programs, I can share a cost sheet. It provides information of all different programs and how much they cost. There's an investment program, there's a donation program, and if there's a family of 4, how much it'll cost. If it's a single applicant, how much it'll cost. So it's actually a fact sheet. I can share that with you after the session. What residency requirements must be met? Is that what you want to say, Anika? All right, so residency requirements are actually different in different cities, countries. If it's Portugal, it's 7 days a year for 5 years. If it's Greece, well, you have to live there. If you want to get citizenship, if you don't want to get citizenship and retain your residency, you don't have to go there at all.
Okay, there's a question. Yeah.
Yes, please.
Okay. Okay, so I have so Caribbean countries are visa free, but I've heard they are not treated well once they reach countries like USA and Europe. Is it true? Like, in terms of is it true, like, have any of your customers faced any issues once they've, opted for one of the residencies and, the passport in itself uh, has caused any issues in terms of their prospects abroad, like in UK, in USA? No.
Not at all. So the thing is that once you have a passport, which is, let's say, St. Kitts, that has 154 countries visa free on it, and which means like that's more than half the world, right?
Yeah.
Also, it ranks at 34 or 32 in the entire world global index, the passport index. Um, I don't. It could be a lone incident. I don't know if there's a lone incident that you're talking about, but technically, no. Why would they? It's not like having. It's not like having a Pakistani passport and being put down because of that. No, I have not heard of anything like that. And it could be a lone incident. It could be something very, very, um, uh, you know, personal for the person who had that passport. So I'm willing to discuss it further if after the session. Whoever it is, please do reach out to me.
Yeah, perfect. Okay, there are a few more questions. Can citizenship be passed to future generations?
Yes, it can. So if it's just like this, I'm a Pakistani, my son is going to be a Pakistani, and his son is going to be a Pakistani, so on and so forth. So yes, most countries do provide generational citizenship, and you can uh, pull them down. Yes, push them down.
Okay, so approval rates. If you could
Okay, so
briefly
yes,
explain about that.
so this is something, see again, approval rates are 100% in our CBI programs unless there is a case misrepresentation. When I say case misrepresentation, I mean, okay, I've asked you, do you have a criminal record? And you're like, no, I don't. And I find out that you do have a criminal record. We have a problem. If you don't have a criminal record in the beginning, but during the process you do something which is considered a crime and it comes up on the radars, yes, there will be a rejection. If you provide us with incorrect documentation, and for instance, if there's a fake passport that you've provided to us or a fake birth certificate, or if you've been married and you don't tell us that, but we will find out, yes, your case can go down the drain. But our goal is, you see, why ConnectX is there? ConnectX is there to make sure that all of this does not happen. So we keep asking questions, we keep doing background checks to ensure that there is no issue of that sort. And we have not had a single rejection up till now. So I think we're doing something right.
Well, that's very that's making me excited as well. However,
Thank you.
uh, okay, so will you guys help in the application process to make it faster?
Absolutely, absolutely. So that's what we do. We apply for you. We make sure that having a consultant and a legal team on board is very, very important because this is something that you can't do on your own. You have to make sure that the right people are there. We do the process from the very beginning till the end. If it's, for instance, the process starts today and it ends in a year, we're with you for that whole year. And even afterwards, if you need any kind of legal assistance and all that, we can get you in touch with legal teams within that country, and you can talk to them directly, or you can talk to them through us. Yes, we provide you complete solutions.
Any specific age requirements?
Okay, so as far as main applicants are concerned, no. For children, yes.
Okay.
For instance, Portugal says that you can't put in a child who is over the age of 21 in your application. So it has to be all your children need to be under 21 to be eligible for a program. Latvia says it's 18. Canada says it's either 18 or 21. I'm forgetting now. Then UK says it's 18. Um, the good thing about Caribbean countries is a lot of them take you can pull in your children who are up to the age of 30 in most cases, but they have to be dependent on you, and they have to be enrolled in uh, some kind of school or college or whatever. So we have to show dependency.
There are more questions. We'll be getting appreciation as well. So what is the
Thank you.
application process timeline?
Again, application process timelines differ. For Portugal, like I said, it's about 12 months, sometimes 16 months, depending on how busy the embassy is or how busy IMA. IMA is the body that takes care of all the immigrant applications. Then Canada, for instance, takes, again, it depends on the program that you're doing. If it's the SUV program, it can take more than a year and a half. Greece takes literally 4 months. It's the shortest process ever. And yeah, so that really depends on how long it is. Again, I can share a fact sheet, and all of that will be in that fact sheet, all the timelines as well.
Yeah, I think that would be great. That would benefit a lot of people.
Yeah.
So the okay, so somebody's asking that, does it have any, does these passports have any impact in terms of you visiting or working in USA or Canada?
See, when you have a certain passport and you're working in a country where that passport, so let's take it this way. You have a passport of St. Kitts and you want to work in the US. So the rules of that particular country where you are working, where you want to work, will apply. So it does not necessarily mean that, oh, you have a US passport, sorry, you have a Grenadian passport or a St. Kitts passport, you can actually work anywhere. No, you can, but it really does depend on what the country is telling you to do. So you have to go by their rules. With residencies, it's different. If you have a resident card, or if you have a Portuguese, for instance, a Portuguese passport or a Greece passport, you can work anywhere um, in the 29 Schengen countries. There are no restrictions.
That's great. So how long, can you tell more information regarding Portugal?
Yeah. So Portugal is, like I said, it's one of my favorite programs, primarily because it's a very straightforward pathway to citizenship. So initially, until about a year or so ago, there was a real estate investment option of 280,000 euros that you could take advantage of. So you had to invest 280,000 euros uh, into a property, again, a government approved property, and you could gain residency. Now that option they've taken that down. There's a huge housing crisis in Portugal and they had to take action. So now the only option that you have is the funds option. Well, there are other options, but the most viable with a good ROI, a stable ROI and a stable um, investment, it's the funds option. So the funds options it is the 500,000 threshold. So you put your money in a fund for 5 years. The fund pays you between 2 and 5% annually, and you park your money there. You get residency, and then you eventually get to the passport in 5 years. Somebody was just asking, I believe, if there was any language requirements. Again, it depends on the country. For your main passports, no, there are no language requirements. For UK, yes. For Canada, yes. For US, definitely. For Portugal, yes. You have to pass a very, very simple Portuguese test at the end of the 5 years before you apply for your citizenship. But it's so easy. I don't know anybody who hasn't actually passed it. So it really does depend on the country. But most of these countries, no, they don't have language test obligations.
Okay, I think this is a very valid question. When you once you move somewhere again, language, if it's a language barrier, it may cause
Absolutely.
a lot of problems in terms of your work experience there as well. Because of course,
Yes.
you can't just rely on you
Especially
have
if it's
to,
Europe.
Yeah, if it's Europe, yeah, it can be very
Yeah,
tricky. True.
yeah,
Okay.
it can be tricky.
Yeah. So we've got another question. Do you have any information related to Ireland investment residency program, like minimum funds we require to start a business?
So the only program that we do in Ireland is the STEP program. That's the Startup Entrepreneur Program. It has a minimum threshold of 50,000. It can go up to anything that you want, depending on your business plan. And it is essentially a residency program. So the path to citizenship means that you will have to naturalize yourself.
Okay.
We can talk more about it in a private session
Yeah.
because there's just too much detail in that.
Okay. How much is the minimum investment? I don't know which country are they referring to, but if you could just briefly uh, shed.
All right. So let's talk about the Caribbean nations. So as far as the Caribbean nations are concerned, there are different. So there are two different types of investments that you can do. They're called investments because they are for the for the country, it is an investment, but from us, it could be a donation as well. So that is something that we need to keep in mind. For Caribbean, for instance, there's a let's take it country by country. Um, Antigua and Barbuda are these twin countries in the Caribbean region. Engage investment that's 325,000 US dollars. And if it's a donation program that you look for a single person, it's 230,000. Dominica is 200,000 US dollars. And then if it's a single donation, then it's 200,000 as well. So mostly people go for the investment rather than the donation because, well, why give money when you can actually invest it? Then Grenada is 270,000. It's the donation is 235,000, so on and so forth. So it really does depend. Greece, 250,000 to 500,000 is a property purchase that you can put in. This is in euros. Then Ireland, like I said, it's 50,000. Malta is 100,000 contribution. Portugal is 500,000. Again, it really does depend on which country we're talking about.
Yeah, somebody's asked that they're saying that if you could just tell the amount in rupees, maybe briefly touch upon that so that they get an idea how much exactly.
Okay, all right. So okay, I'm very bad with numbers, but I'm going to try this. So for Portugal, for instance, if it's 500,000, so we're looking at PKR about 16, let's say 6 crores, 16 crores. So that's the kind of investment that we're looking for, but that's a very high amount. That's a very it is a high investment. It is a high ticket price for something like that. So, but that is probably then for USA, there's 800,000. So I will have to do the
Yeah,
calculation here. So again, we need
what's
to
the
maybe,
minimum? If we can touch base with the minimum and the maximum, I think that would give them a fair.
okay, yeah, that makes sense. Okay, so the minimum is Latvia, which is 50,000 euros. However, with Latvia, there is a catch, which means that, all right, 50,000 is your minimum investment. There is a 10,000 euros donation to the government as well. It's called a government contribution. So that's 60,000. And so what you're giving to the government is essentially 60,000. And that would come to about 1.8 crores. Right. But there are costs on top. So you're probably looking at, somewhere around 100,000 euros. And then, it's over 3 crores. So that's how we look at this. For the highest is 800,000, which is not a very popular program. It's the EB5 program in Pakistan. It's not a popular program. It's a US program. It's your pathway to the well, it is your green card, which is pathway to your citizenship. It's 800,000, and that's the minimum that it well, it that's over 20 crore rupees, 22 crore rupees. So yeah. So again, I can share the fact sheet, and there will be all this information over there about the costs and everything.
Perfect. So you've already elaborated a lot about, different programs. But one more question that we have, that when you apply for citizenship, is it for the whole family or individuals? Like you've elaborated a bit on the age requirement that, if you've got a dependent who's over, like what I've made sense is that a dependent over 18 years of age would not be accepted in most of the residency and citizenship programs. But if you could just elaborate a bit on that in terms of
Yes.
dependents.
So you do not have to see, it really depends. Um, there are some people who want, let's look at the Caribbean passports for now.
Mm,
Caribbean passports will provide you with options to apply singly and with families.
mm,
And again, um, the age bracket is up to 30 in most of them. Dependency is there, blah, blah, blah.
mm,
You can apply alone and you can then later, at a later stage,
mm,
get passports for your family as well. But that will cost you more. So we suggest that, you do it in one go
mm,
and get everything done as a family.
mm,
So yes, for European programs, there are age restrictions. There's 18, there's 21, there's 24, depending on, and no matter what age it is, you have to be, your children have to be dependent on you. There's no other way to do this. So, so if you have a 24-year-old who's working, so he may be part of the eligibility checklist, but he's not literally because he's working and he's not dependent on you anymore. So
mm,
that's how it works. Yes, you can take your family. You have the option of not taking your family at that point if you don't want to. We always suggest that do it with the family because it's cheaper, it's easier. Later, it gets a bit difficult to add people on. However, some people do add other children on because sometimes they have a child after they've gotten their residency or their citizenship. So they have no choice but to add that person on again, the baby on. So that's also doable.
mm, Perfect. Okay. Anything about UK specifically? So somebody's asking, what about UK?
All right. So UK again, it's primarily an investment program because that's all that we do. There are other ways to get to the UK, but again, we don't do anything that is not 100% risk free. So
Mm,
there are two things that we do for the UK. One is the business investment, which is the program is called Innovator Founder. And then we have the skilled workers self-sponsorship. It does say skilled in it, but it is a self-sponsorship program, so it is technically an investment. So for the Innovator Founder, it's not a very popular program, and I'll tell you why. Because what people think is that, all right, we can create a plan and we can build a business on it, and then we are good to go. However, the business investment through the Innovator Founder program requires scalability, it requires innovation, which a lot of people cannot do. So, but that is an option. If we have a plan, if somebody has an idea, all right, that, I have a great innovative plan, I can do that. Uh, so it does not have a minimum threshold of how much money is to be invested. Everything depends on your business program. And yes, you can take your family with it. Your children's ages have to be less than 18. And your time to citizenship is around 3 to 4 years. You have to physically stay there and you do have a language test. The other one, which is more popular, is the skilled worker self-sponsorship one. So essentially, what happens is that you register a company in the UK, and um, you basically tell one of your. It could be somebody you know, it could be somebody we know, who can act as a director over there, just like not I wouldn't say that person would have any actual role, but you create a company, you appoint a director, and then the company hires you, and you go there, and that is when your citizenship path starts. So that is easier. That is again, it takes about, I don't know, 4 or 5 months to get this entire process done. Business innovation takes longer. So usually people go through the skilled worker self-sponsorship route. And I'm happy to discuss it after this session.
Yeah, I think I'm going to refer you a lot of clients because, a
Brilliant.
lot of, yeah, because I come across a lot of students who are really struggling in terms of getting a sponsored job. So, rather than going through the PSW, because that is again, that just confirms your stay in UK. You don't have any rights, nothing. You're just paying for your stay. So,
Right.
people are considering this option, and I see a lot of people around me who have opted for this option. So the self-sponsorship one, but they're just clueless how to go about it. If they're sitting in a different country, can they register a company in UK or not? What is the requirement?
See, the
Yeah.
whole issue is with all of this is that a lot of people try doing it themselves or through consultants. So consultants like us do have a role, but then the entire process is done through a legal firm, and that legal firm is somebody that you can't do anything without a lawyer. It's very, very simple. So we have in all these countries that we work with, we have top-notch lawyers associated with us. We work with them. There aren't too many, but the ones that we do have are top of the line. So they make sure that you have. See, when I said risk-free, I mentioned it in the very beginning that Connectex does not do any cases in which we feel that the client may be at risk. We refuse it. We say, all right, I'm so sorry, we can't do it. We don't want to take your money. We don't want you to go through that hassle. So it has to be absolutely risk-free. For us to be able to enable that, we have to make sure that we have our lawyers in place. So yes, everything is done through a lawyer, and that's how we manage these things.
Perfect. Somebody's asking about the schools. Yes, I think that's a valid question. Schools and healthcare facilities in Europe, because in UK you would say that the schools. I would really say that there is a bit of a difference between private and public school, but the level and the amount of strictness, I would say, and the laws how they enforce it. So most of the people prefer public schools over
Mm.
school. So I think
Mm.
that should be fine. But
Mm.
if you could elaborate a bit on the other end.
So what happens if you have a European residency, essentially you have access to their healthcare and you have access to their education system to a certain level. It is not private education, of course. The government will not pay for private education. The government will pay for public schools and all that. And they're pretty good. So you see, UK and Europe are completely different ball games altogether. So with Europe, there is just so much that you can do. There's so much that you can choose from, because if you don't go from if you don't get admission in one place, you've got so many other places that you can options that you can look through. So actual schools and all of that, again, it's something that the applicant will need to explore themselves. But education is free to a certain extent, depending on your special circumstances within that country. And yeah, so that's that.
Thank you so much, Ruheena. One more question. Do you assist the skilled worker program for UK? How much time does it take to get a PR through that?
So the skilled worker program in itself, no. Like I said, skilled worker is not something that is part of our vision, because it is the
Hmm.
you see, we do skilled worker through the self-sponsorship regime, not otherwise. Because again, we are not going to do anything that requires any kind of risk, that involves any kind of risk.
Hmm. Yeah, perfect. And the PR process, I think it's going to take about just like other programs, it takes five years for you to get the
Yes.
it's
So
basically
yeah,
ILR that you get, indefinite
yes,
leave to remain.
leave to remain.
And then
Yeah,
after that, I think there's a certain period of time that you get um your proper passport and stuff. You can apply for the
absolutely.
passport probably after that.
Yes, yes, that is right. Absolutely.
So do they offer IB system as well in terms of education?
Okay, because I'm not too well versed with the education, because we don't do student visas
Yeah.
yet. We want to do them, but we don't yet. So I don't know if they have the IB system over there or not. I think that really does depend on your research and how well you research the city, the country that you're going to. So I really don't know. I can't say.
Yeah, perfect. I think they do. In terms of the
Mm,
education system,
mm,
when we speak about UK, yes, they do have the same
okay,
system,
brilliant.
yeah,
Mm,
being applied. So, that's
brilliant.
that's a plus point. Even in terms of education, you need not worry much about that. But in, in
Mm,
terms of healthcare system, yes, there are long waiting
yeah, the
lists. But of
NHS
course,
is, yeah.
I know.
Yeah.
But
So
even
Europe isn't like that. Yeah,
yeah,
Europe is completely different. Even Turkey, even Turkey has a great health system. It is
yeah,
at par with the European health system. There are wait times, there are appointments and this and that, but it's nothing like the NHS.
NHS.
Nothing at all. Yeah, nothing
I
like
think
that.
they're working on that as well now.
Yeah, they are,
They
I've
made
heard.
it
I
a
hope they do.
priority. Hopefully,
Yeah,
we'll see good results in the coming years. Yeah, so
hopefully.
I've
Yeah.
got somebody asking how much time do one needs to stay in UK for self-sponsorship plan? Also, will it benefit the kids above 18 years?
All right. So the children's age has to be 18 at the time of application, which means we start applying when they're at the most 17.
Okay.
Uh, your time to citizenship is anywhere between 4 and 5 years, depends on that. And your actual the actual process takes about 4 to 6 months, again, depending on how it is.
Okay, great. Which country do you think is the best for overall for living as a second home?
Oh, okay, that's a very personal choice, to
I
be
know.
honest. If I had to go, I would move to Portugal. I told you it's my favorite program, and I love the country. However, it really does depend on what if you're looking for tax benefits, if you're looking for education, if you're looking for to set up a business, it really does depend on what it is that you want to do. That is not a question that I can answer straightforwardly because it has to be a personal choice. But it's good. My suggestion is that you do look through all options that are available to you and you do your own research. We can help you with that research, but the research should not be on, just doing a Google research. It has to be from reliable resources. So yes, that is, again, it's a personal choice.
I think we can go with our last question now.
Yeah, yeah.
And that is that, in terms of investment, do you have to do it all at once or can it be done in installments?
Okay, so the biggest problem about investments if you have your money in Pakistan, is that you can't do it at once because the government does not allow you to take your money out of the country. It has to be done through other means and all that. It really does depend again on what kind of investment it is. For instance, if it's a property investment, the developer will say, "Okay, pay me 10% now, and I'll lock your unit." Or pay me 30% now, and then you can pay the rest in 2 months or 3 months, whatever. Uh, as far as the passports are concerned, the Caribbean passports and all that, investment has to be done in one go.
Mm.
They may allow you to do 50-50, but it does depend on what your special circumstances are. So for Portugal investment, for instance, yes, it has to be done directly. It needs to be it has to go in one go. 500,000 is huge, I know, and it makes sense for people who have their accounts outside the country, so that there is um, no implications as such of shifting their money from their own account to Portugal. So I hope I've answered that question.
I think you have you've answered that question in quite a lot of detail, and the session itself, it was just so insightful, and it came up with such valuable, I would say, knowledge that people in Pakistan and even based in other countries who are looking for these opportunities, they at the same time cannot find the right set of information that they're looking for. So you answered a lot of questions in a lot of detail, which I'm sure must have benefited our audience. I see a lot of appreciation in the chat box, which is
Really kind. Thank
definitely
you.
a clue that it has really helped. And with this, I would really we would really look forward to having more sessions with you, because I think this
Sure,
is
sure.
something that would really benefit a larger audience, especially professionals, I would say, who are looking for a second citizenship or a second, a residency. not for maybe that themselves, but also for their children, for their better
Yes,
future. They're
yes.
looking for options outside of Pakistan. And thank you so very much, everyone, for your time, and thank you so very much, Ruhina,
You're very
for this insightful session, for joining us. We really hope that your insights and your valuable and inspired the information that you've shared must have inspired and motivated a lot of people. Like I said, I'm getting excited about it. So,
Thank you. You're very kind.
yeah,
Thank
yeah.
you, everybody. Thank you,
Thank
everyone, for joining in.